The morning light filtered to the blinds as Sophia Jenkins stared at the pregnancy test on her bathroom counter. Negative. Again. The 35th negative test in 3 years of trying. She closed her eyes, her shoulders slumping as she leaned against the cool tile wall. Soph. Michael's gentle voice came from outside the door. Everything okay in there? Sophia quickly wiped her eyes, plastered on a smile, and opened the bathroom door. Fine, she said, but the crack in her voice betrayed her. Michael wrapped his arms around her, his embrace warm and steady. We'll keep trying, he whispered into her ear, or we'll look at other options. We'll have our family, one way or another. Sophia nodded against his chest, grateful for his unwavering support, but unable to shake the hollow feeling that had taken residence in her heart. At 35, she had built a successful career as an architect, owned a beautiful home with her loving husband, and yet the one thing she wanted most seemed perpetually out of reach. Later that afternoon, Sophia sat across from her best friend of 20 years, Rebecca Wilson, at their favorite cafe. Rebecca sipped her latte, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against a ceramic mug. "I'm so sorry, honey," Rebecca said, reaching across to squeeze Sophia's hand. "I know how much this means to you." Sophia appreciated the gesture. If anyone understood her pain, it was Rebecca. They'd been inseparable since high school, sharing every dream, heartbreak, and triumph. Rebecca had been there through every fertility treatment, every disappointment. "Thanks, Beck. Sometimes I wonder if it's ever going to happen for us." Rebecca's eyes softened. "Of course it will. You just need to stay positive. Have you considered taking a break from work? Maybe the stress is affecting your fertility." Before Sophia could respond, her phone chimed with a calendar reminder for another doctor's appointment. As she gathered her things to leave, she couldn't help but notice a group of women at a nearby table glancing her way, whispering behind their hands. One of them, Lisa, a member of their wider social circle, quickly averted her gaze when Sophia caught her eye. Was Lisa just talking about me? Sophia asked, confusion creasing her brow. Rebecca shrugged a little too quickly. "People gossip. Sophomore, don't let it get to you." She hugged Sophia goodbye, her expensive perfume lingering in the air. "Call me after your appointment, okay?" As Sophia walked her car, an uneasy feeling settled in her stomach. This wasn't the first time she'd caught people whispering about her recently. Something wasn't right, but she couldn't put her finger on what. Growing up in a small Connecticut town, Sophia had always been the ambitious one. She'd earned a scholarship to an Ivy League architecture program, graduated with honors, and climbed the ranks at a prestigious firm. Family planning had taken a back seat to her career choice. She sometimes wondered if she regretted. When she met Michael at a charity gala 7 years ago, everything changed. He was kind, brilliant, and shared her dreams of having a family. Their wedding 3 years later had been the happiest day of her life, with Rebecca by her side as maid of honor. Michael, a pediatric surgeon with a gentle soul and patient demeanor, had been her rock through every failed pregnancy test, every disappointed phone call from the fertility clinic. "We're in this together," he'd remind her night after night. Rebecca Wilson had been the pretty, popular girl in high school who surprised everyone by befriending bookish Sophia. Their friendship had survived college, careers, and distance. When Rebecca married wealthy businessman James Wilson and quickly had 2 perfect children, Aiden and Emma, Sophia had been genuinely happy for a friend, even as her own quest for motherhood continued to bring heartbreak. What Sophia didn't know, couldn't have guessed, was that beneath Rebecca's supportive exterior lurked a deep-seated jealousy. Rebecca had everything society told her she should want: the handsome husband, the beautiful children, the sprawling house in the suburbs. Yet something about Sophia's life made her see with envy. Perhaps it was Sophia's passionate marriage, so different from Rebecca's own increasingly cold relationship with James. Perhaps it was Sophia's fulfilling career, while Rebecca had abandoned her own professional ambitions to become a full-time mother. Or perhaps it was something darker, something that had festered since their teenage years when Michael had briefly dated Rebecca before meeting Sophia. Rebecca's jealousy had morphed into something toxic, manifesting in subtle ways. The suggestions that maybe Sophia worked too hard, the reminders of her biological clock ticking, the casual mentions of how fulfilled Rebecca felt as a mother, all small jabs disguised as friendly concern. You know, Rebecca had commented at her daughter's 5th birthday party, cradling her youngest child while watching Sophia interact awkwardly with the other mothers. Motherhood really completes a woman. I can't imagine my life without my children. Sophia had smiled tightly, fighting back tears. What Rebecca never mentioned was how she'd been secretly undermining Sophia for years, spreading rumors and half-truths throughout their social circle, positioning herself as a supportive friend to a career-obsessed woman who chose not to prioritize family. As winter melted into spring, Sophia felt increasingly isolated. At a dinner party hosted by mutual friends, she overheard snippets of conversation that stopped abruptly when she approached. At her nephew's baptism, her sister-in-law's friend asked pointedly why she and Michael were choosing not to have children. "We're not choosing anything," Sophia had replied, confusion and hurt evident in her voice. "We've been trying for years." The woman's eyebrows had shot up in genuine surprise. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I heard that you weren't interested in having children right now because of your career." Sophia's confusion only deepened. Who would say such a thing? She'd never hidden their fertility struggles from close friends, though she didn't broadcast it either. Michael began noticing the odd behavior as well. At a neighborhood barbecue, he observed how the wives clustered together, shooting glances at Sophia. "Is it just me?" he asked on their drive home. "Or were people acting strange today?" Sophia sighed, leaning her head against the passenger window. "It's not just you. It's been happening for months now. Like there's some secret everyone knows but me." The breaking point came at a baby shower for another friend in their circle. Rebecca had insisted Sophia attend, despite her reluctance. "You need to show your support," Rebecca had argued. "People are starting to think you're bitter about other women's pregnancies." So Sophia went, armed with an expensive gift and a fragile smile. Throughout the party, she endured pitying looks and awkward silences. When the mother-to-be opened Sophia's gift, a handcrafted mobile Sophia had spent weeks designing, someone whispered loudly enough for her to hear, "Guess that's what you have time for when you don't have kids." Tears stinging her eyes, Sophia retreated to the bathroom. Rebecca followed, concern etched on her perfect features. "Don't let them get to you," Rebecca soothed, rubbing Sophia's back. "They're just jealous of your freedom, your career." "But I don't understand," Sophia sobbed. "Why would anyone think I don't want children? It's all I've ever wanted." Rebecca's pause was almost imperceptible. "Well, you did focus on your career for a long time. People make assumptions." Later, driving home alone after Rebecca offered to stay behind to help clean up, Sophia replayed the conversation in her head. Something about Rebecca's response felt off, like a discordant note in a familiar song. That evening, Michael found her sitting in their empty nursery, a room they'd painted yellow years ago, in a burst of optimism. "I think someone's been talking about us," Sophia said quietly, "spreading rumors about why we don't have children." Michael sat beside her on the window seat. "Who would do that?" Sophia shook her head. "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." The revelation came unexpectedly on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. Sophia had left work early with a migraine and decided to stop by Rebecca's house to pick up a book her friend had borrowed. Rebecca didn't answer the doorbell, but her car was in the driveway, and Sophia knew where the spare key was hidden. "Beck!" Sophia called as she let herself in. "It's just me." The sound of voices from the sunroom drew her attention. Rebecca was hosting her monthly book club, a gathering Sophia usually attended but had missed recently due to fertility treatments. Sophia was about to announce her presence when she heard her own name. "That really think Sophia and Michael are having problems," Rebecca was saying, her voice carrying easily through the partially open door. "She's been so focused on her career that she kept putting off having children, and now she's panicking because she's leaving it too late." Frozen in place, Sophia listened as her supposed best friend continued. "It's sad, really. Michael desperately wants kids. He's a pediatric surgeon. For God's sake, but she convinced him to wait, and now. Well, nature has its timeline. But I thought they were doing IVF," someone asked. "Oh, That's just for show, Rebecca replied with a dismissive wave of her hand that Sophia could picture perfectly. Between us, I think she's still taking birth control. She told me once that she's terrified of what pregnancy would do to her body and career. The blatant lie hit Sophia like a physical blow. The room seemed to spin around her as Rebecca's voice continued, sharing private details about Sophia's fertility journey, all twisted into unrecognizable falsehoods. The saddest part is how Michael stays with her. I've known him since high school, you know. We dated briefly before Sophia came along. He's always been too loyal for his own good. The implication hung heavy in the air that Rebecca and Michael had some special connection, that perhaps in another life. Sophia must have made a sound because suddenly the room fell silent, heart pounding. She retreated to the front door, slipping out as quietly as she'd entered. Rain soaked through her clothes as she stumbled to her car, tears mingling with the droplets on her face. At home, she paced her living room, shocked and betrayed. When Michael returned from his shift at the hospital, he found her surrounded by photo albums and old letters, evidence of her decades-long friendship, with Rebecca spread across the floor. "It's been her all along," Sophia said, voice hollow. "Rebecca's been telling everyone I chose not to have children, that I'm still secretly on birth control, that you and I are having problems because of it." Michael's face darkened with anger. "That's insane. Why would she do that?" "I don't know," Sophia whispered. "But there's more. She implied that you two had some special connection, that you settled for me." Michael sat heavily on the couch. "We dated for 3 weeks in high school. It was nothing." He ran a hand through his hair. "But she was furious when I broke it off. She didn't speak to me for months until I introduced you two at our engagement party." Sophia finished, the pieces falling into place. She's been jealous all this time. The next day, Sophia drove to Rebecca's house, determined to confront her. Rebecca opened the door with a smile that faltered at Sophia's expression. "I was at your house yesterday," Sophia said without preamble. "I heard everything you said to your book club." Rebecca's face drained of color. "Sophia, Don't," Sophia cut her off. "Don't insult me with more lies. I just need to know why. 20 years of friendship, Beck. Why would you do this to me?" "You don't understand," Rebecca whispered, tears forming in her eyes. "You have everything. The perfect marriage, the amazing career. Everyone admires you. What do I have? A husband who barely looks at me and children who prefer their nanny. So you decided to destroy the one thing I didn't have?" Sophia asked incredulously. "You knew how much having a baby meant to me." "I didn't think it would go this far," Rebecca admitted. "It started as just a few comments, and then I couldn't stop. People listened to me, respected me when I shared these confidences. For once, I had something you didn't." "Congratulations," Sophia said coldly. "You've been very successful." She turned to leave, but paused. "Stay away from me and Michael. We're done." The weeks that followed were some of the hardest of Sophia's life. The betrayal cut deep, leaving her questioning every friendship, every interaction. Who else had Rebecca poisoned against her? How much damage had been done? Michael suggested they consider moving, starting fresh in a new community where Rebecca's influence hadn't reached. But Sophia refused to be driven from a home they'd built together. "I won't let her take anything else from me," she said firmly. Instead, Sophia decided to reclaim her narrative. She began by reaching out to Lisa, the woman she'd seen whispering at the cafe months earlier. Over coffee, Sophia laid out the truth about her fertility struggles, about Rebecca's betrayal. Lisa listened with growing horror. "I had no idea," she said, shaking her head. "Rebecca always positioned herself as your protector, defending your choice to focus on career over family. She made it sound like she was respecting your privacy by not correcting people who assumed you were childless by choice. And everyone believed her?" "She's very convincing," Lisa admitted, "and she's been your best friend forever. Why would anyone doubt her?" Word spread quickly through their social circle. Some friends reached out immediately with apologies and support. Others, too embarrassed by their complicity in the gossip, kept their distance. A few refused to believe that Rebecca could have been so manipulative. Sophia found unexpected strength in Michael's unwavering love and in the genuine friends who rallied around them. She started seeing a therapist to process the betrayal and grief not just of the lost friendship, but for the community support she'd been denied during her fertility journey. At her next appointment with Dr. Parker, her fertility specialist, Sophia felt a new sense of clarity. "I've been thinking," she told the doctor. "Maybe the stress of these past few years has been affecting our chances. Not just work stress, but toxic relationships." Dr. Parker nodded thoughtfully. "Stress can definitely impact fertility. Have there been significant changes in your life recently?" "You could say that," Sophia replied with a sad smile. "I've eliminated a major source of negativity." "Well," Dr. Parker said, reviewing Sophia's chart, "your latest hormone levels are looking better than they have in months. I'd like to try a different protocol this cycle, if you're willing." For the first time in years, Sophia felt a flicker of genuine hope. "I'm ready for whatever comes next," she said. Summer arrived with new beginnings. Sophia had formed deeper connections with genuine friends who offered authentic support. She'd also discovered a community of women experiencing similar fertility challenges, a support group where she could share her fears and hopes without judgment. Michael had taken a week off work, and they escaped to a coastal cottage, reconnecting and healing together. Their relationship, tested by years of disappointment and now betrayal, had emerged stronger. "No matter what happens," Michael told her one evening as they walked along the shore, "we're going to be okay. You and me were family already." Sophia squeezed his hand, knowing he was right. Through everything, their love had never wavered. When they returned home, a message was waiting from Dr. Parker, asking them to come to the office. Sophia tried not to hope too much as they sat in the sterile exam room, fingers intertwined. Dr. Parker entered with an uncharacteristic smile. "Well," she said, looking down at her tablet, "it seems our new protocol worked better than expected." Sophia's heart stuttered. "What are you saying?" "Congratulations," Dr. Parker said warmly. "You're pregnant. About 6 weeks along." The room spun as Michael whooped with joy, gathering Sophia in his arms. Through tears, she asked dozens of questions about viability, next steps, precautions. "One day at a time," Dr. Parker advised, "but everything looks perfect so far." As news of the pregnancy spread, genuine well wishes poured in. Lisa organized a small dinner celebration with their closest friends, people who had stood by them or made amends after learning the truth about Rebecca's deception. At 5 months pregnant, Sophia ran into Rebecca at the grocery store the first time they'd seen each other since their confrontation. Rebecca's eyes immediately went to Sophia's visible baby bump. "You're pregnant," she stated, her voice a mixture of surprise and something else, regret, perhaps. "Yes," Sophia replied simply. An awkward silence stretched between them. "I'm happy for you," Rebecca finally said. "Truly." Sophia studied her former friend's face, searching for signs of insincerity, but finding none. "Thank you." Rebecca hesitated, then added, "I've been seeing someone, a therapist. She's helping me understand why I did what I did." "That's good," Sophia said, not unkindly but maintaining her distance. "I miss you," Rebecca admitted quietly. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I am sorry, more than I can say." Sophia placed a protective hand over her belly. "I believe you're sorry, Beck, but trust, once broken, isn't easily repaired." As she walked away, Sophia felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. She didn't need to carry anger or resentment into this new chapter of her life. Forgiveness might come eventually, but for now, boundaries were enough. 4 months later, Sophia gave birth to a healthy baby girl they named Hope. The delivery room was filled with love, Michael never leaving her side, her parents' tearful joy, and messages of support from friends who had become like family. In Hope's nursery, no longer an empty yellow room, but a space filled with books, stuffed animals, and dreams Sophia often reflected on the journey that had brought them here. The years of disappointment, the betrayal, the healing, all of it had shaped her into the mother she now was. One afternoon, as Hope slept peacefully in her crib, a package arrived. Inside was a handcrafted quilt with a card from Rebecca. For Hope, may she grow up knowing nothing but love and truth. Sophia ran her fingers over the delicate stitching, recognizing Rebecca's handiwork. She wasn't ready to invite Rebecca back into her life, might never be, but she appreciated this gesture of genuine remorse. As Hope's first birthday approached, Sophia sat in their backyard, watching Michael push their giggling daughter on a swing. The past year had been a whirlwind of sleepless nights, first smiles, and overwhelming love. Their circle of friends had evolved, some relationships deepened, others faded naturally. New connections formed through parenting groups and community activities. Sophia had returned to work part-time, finding a balance that felt right for her family. She occasionally heard about Rebecca through mutual acquaintances. She divorced James, started her own interior design business, and continued therapy. Once, Rebecca had sent a birthday card for Hope with a simple message: "Thinking of you all." The hardest lesson Sophia had learned through everything was that sometimes the people closest to you could cause the deepest wounds. But she'd also discovered the incredible resilience of the human heart, its capacity to heal, to forgive, even from a distance, and to love more deeply after pain. Her journey to motherhood had been marked by mockery, betrayal, and heartache. Yet here she was, watching her daughter's face light up with joy, surrounded by authentic relationships built on honesty and mutual support. "Mama," Hope called, reaching for her. Sophia crossed the yard and took her daughter into her arms, breathing in her sweet scent. "What are you thinking about?" Michael asked, wrapping an arm around them both. "Just how sometimes the hardest paths lead to the most beautiful destinations," Sophia replied. That evening, as she tucked Hope into bed, Sophia made a silent promise to her daughter to teach her the value of genuine friendship, the courage to stand up for truth, and the strength to remain open to love even after betrayal. Because ultimately, that was the story Sophia wanted to pass on, not one of mockery and deceit, but resilience, forgiveness, and the unwavering hope that light always follows darkness.